The Life Finder keeps Maev up. It was going to be a close thing.
And healing, what? Get out of, no! No!
Triple stun again. Big flanks coming out from the Blaze.
It's a death metal, though.
Death metal into the double, triple kill.
Welcome back, everybody, to the next match of the night. We have the Baddest Dudes versus Bloodbath and Beyond. Awesome names, guys. I really love them. And this is D West, not D East, like I originally announced, because I'm silly and dumb. But we've got it all set up. And I think we're just got to get everybody onto the right sides here. In the meantime, let's put the overview up and update it. There are your map picks and bans and your awesome logos, while I sort out the teams. And we'll be very quickly be getting into the next game here today. So let me just swap. View these guys. I think I've got it correct now. There we go. Zigo was the one throwing me off. I didn't recognize his name. And then we have Skybound. Alrighty, I think we got everybody on the appropriate sides of the map. I can put my face back onto the screen because I know that's what you guys would most. And I think we should be pretty much ready to go. Baddest Dudes managed to pick up their first win of the season the other day and looking to continue to rack that up. Bloodbath and Beyond, I think, also managed a victory of their own. So these two teams are definitely going to be going at each other pretty hard here. And I expect a close matchup between these two. I think we've got everybody set up. I think I'm ready. And you are ready. Shout out to Tootie Moss, who did the who's this guy? The video for Soothsayer and all the other things that's set up. You can pretty much say he's the core man responsible for my current casting setup and why it looks so good. So big shout out to him. Did a fantastic job. Alexa, turn lamp on. I need to see in here a little bit. I'm sure you guys wouldn't mind if it lit up a tad. So we got an R coming out from Rackham. We're just waiting for the R from the Baddest Dudes to come through, and I think we'll be ready to get this on the road. I'm really expecting some good things between both these teams. Bloodbath and Beyond, this was their first season in NGS, having done Heroes Lounge last season, and I have it on personal authority from Rackham himself saying that NGS is definitely his preferred league, and I think a lot of us can definitely feel that way. So let's start this game though, and I'll stop ranting. and we'll get things moved over. Here's the draft. And here we go. Game number 1, Cursed Hollow. This is the map choice of Bloodbath and Beyond. So expecting some interesting strategies coming out from these guys here, where they, I guess, not their debut, but at least on my channel, their debut in NGS. Anyways, their round 2 matchup here against the Baddest Dudes. All that have been around for a while: Cactus, Ham, Rondertaker, Savior. I think Zigo is the only name I don't necessarily recognize from the Baddest Dudes squad. So definitely some NGS veterans here. So Johanna is going to get banned, and it's a strong opener. I mean, if you're not going to take it with your first pick, you don't want the enemy team to have it. It makes a lot of sense, and Johanna is definitely one of those very strong tanks in the meta currently. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and pop up her stat. Jaina is going to be the next one. Very popular. Kind of lowish win rate, though, at the moment. Despite having a pretty good KDA of 6. And 2 really kind of meta tanks removed immediately by the Baddest Dudes in their ban rotations. Nubrak, 50% win rate, 83% popularity. And we might as well pop up the Kel'Thas there, too, as well. I'm really enjoying these stat things off of Soothsayer. This thing is so cool. I'm like totally nerding out on this thing. KDA, and look at that KDA on Kel'Thas. Popularity rate is huge. 57% win rate. He really is a winner in this series right now. Especially Division D West, it appears. And we're gonna get Zigo on the Muradin to start off game 1. And talk about something spicy right off the bat here. We have Abathur and Rhaegar. Let's quickly pop up the Abba stats, because I'm very curious to see what they are in this division. And he's a 9% popularity rate, and he has not yet won a game, so kind of a risky pick given the statistics. Quite a interesting approach by Bloodbath and Beyond, but being new blood in the scene, or at least the NGS scene, we're definitely going to probably see some interesting things coming out from these guys. Rhaegar Abathur is a decent opener. We do have Sylvanas Tyrande on the other side. Now, Sylvanas definitely helps macro this map, and Tyrande is really good for picking off targets. So a nice opener from Tootie, Moss, and the boys. And girls, if there's girls. Just assume I'm talking girls if there are any in the current match, as I don't know most of you guys personally. So you'll have to forgive me if my assumption is the boys. Orphea getting banned, I think that is an interesting, but I think warranted. Orphea did get a significant buff to one of her builds in the last patch, and I honestly think it's, even if you're only hitting 50% of your skill shots on that thing, still pretty nasty. 33% win rate, 88 KD, or an 8 KDA. Respectable KDA, but not a high win rate. Zebo is an interesting one, but I think in Div D West, we can probably expect this to have pretty decent stats. He has not been picked, and that is going to continue, but his popularity rate will go up as he did get banned in this matchup. We see Stitches and Raynor. An odd combination with an Abathur comp, as it's still very pick-poke style. But, you know, if this is something they run, then I'm not going to doubt it until I see it. So, a very interesting opening. We're getting Azmodan Rexar. Now, Azmodan on this map doesn't have rotational value, but lots of places to stack off of heroes and fights over the objectives. He can still get good lane pressure. I think it's going to be an interesting pick here on this map. Azmodan is a strong hero in certain hands. And people playing let's bounce people around thing and make me all... trying to sort this all out. So we have a cool little graphic. Malthael being the last pickup there. Very strong bruiser. Pretty good in Direxar. I like it all. It's definitely an interesting composition between these two. Let's get the overlay swapped over. And let's get ready to get into this game. Yeah, I actually did not quite notice that they were all mages. And maybe Azmodan was all he had left. I mean, they pretty much banned Jaina, Kael'thas, and Orphea completely out. So then there's Azmodan. So there you go, guys. That's the result. Perhaps it was scouted. Perhaps this was a plan by Bloodbath and Beyond. Interesting comps. I mean, Abathur is always a good comp. And Malthael Abathur can be pretty nasty. A clone Malthael on all of those high health targets can be really devastating. And that front line really got to worry out because both Raynor and Malthael put a lot of pressure onto front line targets. But without further ado, let's get into the matchup here. We have on the left side in the blue, the Baddest Dudes. Zigo on the Rexar. Sorry, I apparently have hiccups. Rondertaker on the Muradin. Cactus Ham on the Sylvanas. Trond is being played by 2D Moss and Savior123 on the Azmodan, as we were mentioning before. Skybound, and on the other side we have Bloodbath and Beyond. First season of NGS, looking to make a statement, taking out the Baddest Dudes in game number 1. And we see Skybound on the Abathur, Rackham on the Stitches, Deet Lama on the Malthael, I love that name, Crafty Trent on the Raynor, and True Saint playing the Rhaegar. And we have an interesting laning situation. Instead of opting for the traditional handshake in the mid lane, which the Baddest Dudes seem a little bit confused by. They're only greeted by an Abba hat, nothing else. And instead, they're just going to clear up the top wave and siege in. Now, it's interesting because the siege is not the best with this composition, but it's actually getting plenty of work done. My bad. Actually, I'm going to take it back and say that with Rhaegar, you get actually quite a bit of pressure onto it. But it is Stitches. I think they stayed a little bit too long. Didn't respect the counter pressure coming up from the Muradin Sylvanas Tyrande there. And a nice Hunter's Mark onto Stitches does drop him too low to survive, and he goes down. So we have Azmodan pushing up the mid lane. Abathur trying to soak using the hats. But we do see a slight experience advantage coming out for the Baddest Dudes. But it is slight. It's not a major one. And if they can apply enough pressure here, we see Malthael actually backing out. So they're just going to go back to the 3-man kind of pushing up on this. See if they can get that extra tower. And it looks like they're going to. So, you know, that 150 XP isn't a whole lot, but it does stack up. I mean, when I say it's not a lot, it almost pretty much is 2 minions worth, roughly, maybe 3. So, I mean, really clearing waves still gets a lot more done than the towers themselves. But removing the towers does give you access to things like this well here, which does have significant effect on a top objective. But due to the RNG gods, we're going to get a bot spawn instead. Malthael rotating down, grabbing this camp. Looks like he's going to rotate into this camp. He has 30 seconds to do it, though. I think he's going to have to bail out of that idea. And a lot of pressure being applied into here. Now, Rackham pulls in Cactus Ham. He gets dove on by the Rhaegar. But everybody gets, I think, effectively peeled out, although Crafty Trent was definitely putting quite a bit of pressure onto Sylvanas there. But 2D Moss is just going to heal him up, and that's going to be that. And so Malthael did actually commit to this, and you know what? They're clearing it really fast. Rhaegar comes in, gives them an assist. And seeing as no one is set up here, it's actually interesting. That might be a favorable trade for Bloodbath and Beyond. They are going to stall out the point here with Rexxar, but the rotation is clearly much faster coming out from Bloodbath and Beyond. And it just looks like the Baddest Dudes decided to not really bother with the rotation at all. They're just going to give up the first objective. And Bloodbath and Beyond is going to use Raynor and Malthael here. Probably just Raynor now. No, they're actually going to completely rotate out. Looks like they're actually going to try to come and stop this push, which is quite significant at this point. I mean, we have most of the front, or all the front wall gone, well gone, fort gone, and now Rhaegar gone. The rest of the rotation comes in a little bit too slow. They do manage to save the fort, but the top lane pressure was much more significant than the bot lane pressure managed to be. And these two camps coming out more or less at the exact same time does stall this out. So they do give up one shrine. And of course, I miss a kill because I'm bouncing around the map talking about other things. And we're actually going to see 3 go down in the top lane. Baddest Dudes 5-0. Starting to really stack up a bit of that advantage. They do have a level lead and a 5-kill advantage. Rhaegar coming up here just trying to make sure that he can get the soak. He's going to poke his head out. But he does have to be a bit concerned about the pressure that's going to be applied here by the Sylvanas. The Mule trying to do its best to stop this from being a converted fort. And I think we're going to see Baddest Dudes again just give up this objective. They're just going to allow the channel to go through, secure the fort. They are going to try to make the rotation down here, but I doubt they're going to consider the stall worth a major risk. But Baddest Dudes might just kind of back out, use their massive level advantage. No, they do actually get the stall. I think the Owl came in, stopped Rhaegar from actually getting the channel through long enough for them to actually make the full rotation down. So True State is trying to get the channel again, trying to sneak it out. I think they need to give up the channels at this point and just start applying pressure, or just give up this shrine. They do manage to get the channel, but they're going to lose heroes for it. Rackham getting super, super low, and so is Deet Llama, or Diet Llama. It's not Deet. If it was D-E-I-T, it'd be Deet. It's Diet Llama. Diet Llama. Get it right, Ziltoid. And now they're just going to change their focus back into the mid lane, or the bot lane here, and get those towers down and start applying force. Rackham doing his best to stall this out, but he's definitely going to get poked out. And stepping up there is actually a very scary situation. He gets Hunter's Mark plus a stun onto him. He does manage to heal up off of it, but as Sylvanas turns those off, they totally could have chased that down, but instead of going for the kill, they decide to back up, snipe the well, get a little bit more pressure onto the fort, and they're just going to back off before the rotation comes in. And Rexxar solos the boss. So all of this was just a buy time for little old Rexxar to come over here and grab of himself a free boss. And they're going to make that rotation up to the top and grab this objective. And I don't think that we're going to see Bloodbath and Beyond make a similar rotation. They're probably just going to allow it. They don't have 10s like the Baddest Dudes do. Mule has done a fantastic job in healing this up. And they do have quite a bit of boss kill here. So they should be able to save this fort. So early boss doesn't manage to get anything, but that's not really the threatening boss that I see on the map. The major threat I see is the top lane boss that has no fort threat, or fort to go through, and is actually going to be threatening keep wall. Now, it is an early boss. Sylvanas, if they 5-man push with this boss, which honestly I think is the right call, with the Sylvanas, they could potentially grab a keep. But it is a risky call. And so going for the safer play, knowing that the boss probably isn't going to get them more than a front wall, and that a risky fight over that with Abathur 10s is probably not worth it. They're just going to continue to macro. Not worry about it, and they're just going to go grab the mid camp and steal that away. That's not going to get a lot of value. It's going to get cleared up pretty much immediately. It doesn't even look like it's going to push in onto this fort or this wall at all. But it is going to probably concede this tribute yet again to the side of the Baddest Dudes. Although they clear it up nice and quick, and they're actually here ready to fight. And this is actually an ideal situation for Bloodbath and Beyond. They are behind in experience, but if they start getting kills right here and now, that could change things up. But we see a lot of damage coming out onto Rackham, and a great silence onto Malthael means he's a sitting duck inside the team. They trade out Misha for Stitches and a Malthael. That's probably not worth. Clone also goes down, which, by the way, does give out a bit of experience. So that was definitely, you know, in a way, a bit of a 2.5 to a half. Abathur, though, doing his best to push out these lanes, body soaking in the bot lane. They did get these towers down, though I think they were down from the giants from before. And that's going to be another tribute for the Baddest Dudes and much faster 13s. And that's where things get a little bit scary here. Getting cursed on as an Abathur is always kind of a monk-esque kind of moment. And you're not going to have 13s before this next objective is up and ready. And the spawn location is definitely unfavorable for Bloodbath and Beyond. So they're going to grab their camp on their side. We're going to see both the mid, the hard camps, and the sieges in the top. That's going to push down that lane, but Abathur can deal with it with hats. But he's going to be distracted if they're going to try to contest this. So Raider scouts out that Misha's sitting in the bush. We see the totem go down, trying to slow everybody up. Double stun onto Malthael, and he's going to get hit with a Wailing Arrow. And that was actually just the clone. Rackham sitting there trying to do his best, healing up off of it. We do see Ancestral come out, and they do trade out Misha and Murden for Stitches, and that's a somewhat favorable, but they no longer have clone, which means it's still a 4v3 in this area, and that means Curse is going to go to the side of the Baddest Dudes. So despite a favorable trade in bodies, the fact of the matter is with clone getting down and not getting more kills than that, the Baddest Dudes are going to be able to just push into here. Mule's going down, trying to keep this fort up, but it's almost a done deal. Assuredly here. We see True Saint getting into the back line, trying to get some pressure on it. He actually does a pretty successful job onto Cactus Ham, but unfortunately takes a lot of return damage and doesn't manage to get it. But Baddest Dudes are looking pretty bruised here despite getting the kill on Rhaegar. Abathur doing a really good job of making sure that this lane doesn't push up, but there is a problem in the top lane. This siege has to be dealt with, and we see immediately Malthael make the rotation. I would say Rackham and Crafty Trent need to stand back. And Rackham, I think, got caught out. He did get stunned. He did get Hunters marked. And that's going to be another pickoff. 11-1 in kills for the Baddest Dudes. Things are looking a little bit hazy for the side of Bloodbath and Beyond, but there are some good things here. So, although if Crafty Trent gets picked off here, he's going to be in a lot of trouble. So he does manage to dodge the stun. Isn't going to go down here. They are going to take the tower, which is worth significantly more experience than the ones on the fort walls, but still not a massive amount. But the saving grace here is they kept all three keeps up. They still have this bot fort, actually. So they only really lost one fort in that whole curse. They are on even talent tiers, so if they make this rotation fast enough onto this objective, especially the Sylvanas split, this could actually turn in very terribly. We see a nice stun coming out from Misha, though, onto two targets. Rhaegar is now in a terrible spot, and he does manage to ancestral himself, and we see Malthael try to trade out, but we get the kill onto Sylvanas. The things are actually turning around. Clone is still alive, but Raynor is in a terrible spot. He gets picked off by the Misha. We're going to see Rackham and Skybound on the clone do their best to sit here on this point, but I think it's a moot issue, although True Saint pops in there. He gets a kill. He trades it out, but no, he does. So they dove onto that boss, doing their best to stop it from pushing through. 16s were grabbed within the fight after I think the first kill went through. And that kind of just turned things around. I wonder if everybody got their talents, though. No, actually, Sylvanas never took her life whatever she decides to go at 16. We'll see what that pick is. But everybody else seemed to actually lock in pretty hard on that. And Bronzebeard Rage, I think, got quite a bit of extra damage in there. It's sneaky damage. It gets you when you least expect it. But like I said before, things are not down and out for the side of Bloodbath and Beyond by any means. But they do have a boss pushing into the bot lane. And it's half health, but they can ignore this. Rackham understands it's going to look to stall out the boss, but instead gets caught in a poaching attempt by the Baddest dudes. They figured someone would stick their nose in here, and they managed to pick off the stitches. And that is going to give them the boss, plus most likely the tribute channel. So Abathur's gonna clean up the boss, but they're gonna have to defend a full health boss, a 14-minute boss, which is a significantly bigger threat, with only one tower on the front wall and a Sylvanas. They do have 16s though, and Stitches is going to be up in just a couple seconds, so they do have an opportunity to get a fight here. But unfortunately, True Saint kind of walks up, drops the totem, and in the process, finds himself getting picked off by that stun combo of Muradin and Rexar, and there's another one. Raynor stepping up, nice Wailing Arrow onto 3 targets. The clone pretty much gets no value here. Stitches goes down again. Malthael is getting pressured really hard, and I think this might be the end of the game. That boss is at super big health. He does trade out with Muradin though, so Diet Llama actually getting the kill onto Muradin was a nice little parting gift for the end of this game. Is there's really nothing they can do to stop this from going through, and that's going to be the GG game number 1 to the Baddest dudes. Did I get it on the right one? Nope, I did not. Stats. There you have it. Sylvanas taking the cake as far as damage goes. Fed 1 kill, Muradin felled 3, but the rest stayed alive for the most part. And Raynor respectfully keeping up, though taking significantly more death, but really Stitches was getting picked off quite a bit. And with not a whole lot of ways to deal with the aggression coming out from the Baddest dudes. So Bloodbath and Beyond definitely getting bloody, and not in a good way on their side of the map there in game number 1. I'm going to switch us to a quick break, guys, while I set up game number 2. Stay tuned. Welcome back, guys. Although I probably started this up a little bit too quick because I still haven't quite finished making the lobby yet. But we're going to be going to Volskaya Foundry, which is the pick by the Baddest dudes. So let me get this all sorted up and ready to go. Me being silly, not doing this prior to getting us back in here. Not a long enough break. Why even take a break? Game 2. Everybody get in. Pile into the pool. Let's go, guys. Can I play happen now? Tootie Moss. I imagine you can. All right, let's swap the appropriate teams, players to the appropriate teams. Actually, he's on the wrong team. There we go. So, game number 1. The ABBA comp was interesting, but I do think that the Stitches just really couldn't stop all of that pressure coming in from the that stun lock kind of burn comp that they had, and it worked out really well. Sylvanas, of course, getting a lot of value on the map. So, and I think Sylvanas is definitely something that should be a concern in this matchup as well. Given the fact that she really kind of, what do you call it, amplifies the turrets on this map in particular. 60% increase. It's huge. Let's bring up the thing so people can see the graphic that I, went through the trouble of putting up in the first place. So there we go. Volskaya Foundry, game 1, going to the Baddest Dudes. I'm excited for game number 2. It definitely wasn't like a complete stop. There was definitely some moments where Bloodbath and Beyond definitely looked to make some good plays, and one thing go one way or another here in a lot of those fights, and we could have been seeing a bit of a different game. So they're definitely down but not out. Looking for the redemption in game number 2 on Volskaya Foundry. Also, just for a bit of a self-plug, as I am shameless and must do it, if you can, please follow if you have not. I'm going to be casting all season, so more likely than not, a game that you're interested in watching will happen at some point. And having me on there with the notifications is fantastic. And if you're feeling uber generous, subs and biddies go a long way to help support me and my family and the stream. And yeah, I mean, I appreciate every little bit. I'm working on getting sub rewards set up. It's going to take a little while because I'm a complete noob when it comes to this kind of stuff. And it's not just going to be casts. I will definitely be doing, my own personal streaming if that's something that you're interested in. But anyways, I think we should be about ready to go. It looks like everybody is in the lobby now. I'm going to give them the go ahead that I'm ready to go. And we'll see if we can get game number 2 underway here in the Nexus Gaming series. We have 1 ready. I think we're still waiting on Tootie to kind of get in here. So what do you guys think? Is ABBA going to be a contested pick here on Volskaya? I know Tootie Moss was probably just goofing a bit with what he said in chat, but it's not unheard of. And in fact, I would say Abathur, due to the changes to the Protector, where its siege damage is kind of where it used to be. It's perfectly fine. It hasn't really changed, but the team fight is down. And it was scaled back. So the amount of early game effect you get from the objective isn't that big. And there's plenty of time to stall out the map to get to those 10s and make Abathur a pretty viable pick on this map, I actually think. The clone timings make it harder to hard win an objective at low spawn timers. So you'll probably lose first objective. You might lose second objective just because, again, it's a little bit rough. But by the time you get into third objectives and death timers are longer, then things start to go on. And really, most games don't end before the third objective. And even on the third objective, in the old days of Volskaya, one of the newest maps we have in the pool, you would almost guaranteed end the game with that third protector, and it would rarely go to the fourth. Nowadays, especially evenly matched teams, it almost always goes to the next one. But it's all just speculation. My own personal thoughts on the matter. By no means do I have any idea what these two teams like to draft or play on these maps. Alan Hicks, Bloodbath and Beyond. This is their first. Thanks, Tootie. I appreciate it. And again, you're a huge factor in why it's that way. Anyways, to address Alan Hicks, Bloodbath and Beyond is a new team to NGS. They played a season of Heroes Lounge, but this is their actual first season as a team, and as probably as players in general here in NGS. So give them a warm welcome. We love to see new blood in the game. It's much needed after the suicide of HGC. And okay, we're ready to go. Starting 3, 2, 1. So we are starting now. Into the draft. Here we go, guys. I am excited. I hope you are all excited. Let us see how this goes out. Are the bans going to change, or are we still just mass banning mages on the side of Bloodbath and Beyond? It'll be interesting to see how they decide to sort this out. They do have first pick, so we'll see what they highly prioritize in this matchup here. Asmodan. So it wasn't Sylvanas that was the major threat. It was the Asmodan. That's the thing that Bloodbath and Beyond was mostly concerned about. And I don't blame them. A lot of those globes were just hitting them nonstop, and they couldn't really do anything about it. There's no counterplay, and it's very hard to dodge a giant globe. And when it gets stacked up, it gets pretty nasty. So I totally understand the sentiment. He is going to be removed, especially if they're wanting to pick up one of those impactful mages early. But we're going to see Johanna banned out. I think we displayed this last time, but for the life of me, I can't remember. Let's do Sylvanas. And then I'll pop up Asmodan, because I'm actually kind of interested to see what the stat is. 80% win rate on Sylvanas. 80% win rate. That is insane. So definitely a good ban. They took out both of those heroes. They definitely didn't leave it up this time, as I was afraid that they might. That's just an insane win rate with a very high KDA. And you know what? Asmodan isn't much worse at 75% and a 7 KDA. So very much equivalent. We see Orphea banned out again. I don't think I popped this up last time. I wasn't certain, but I am interested. Wait, I did, yes, 33% with 18. Very high KDA, but low win percent. So Kael'thas is going to be the first ban. So that's how they're planning on, I guess, nerfing Savior 1, 2, 3 on his mages. Is by trying to pick them away. And we're going to get Anub'arak and Raynor instead as a response to the Kael'thas. And it is Rackham on the Kael'thas, so he was the Stitches last game. The Bloodbath and Beyond may be a team that tends to play more to heroes rather than to roles, which is a perfectly viable way to go. Definitely not suggesting that it doesn't work. It definitely can. You know, some people are just good at certain heroes regardless of the role. And if you've got a good way to kind of work that into good compositions, it's a viable strategy. We did get Imperious ETC, so I would say a very good frontline if you're looking for lockdown and picks. Lots of kill potential between those two heroes. Diet Llama on the ETC, and I imagine that's going to be the tank player who was the off-lane player last round. So again, things kind of moving around And Skybound on the Imperious instead of the Abathur. I'm pretty sad I'm not going to see Abathur here. Falstad was banned out. On this map in particular, I mean, Bribe has a lot of advantages, so I mean, I can see the arguments. The global's not like hugely impactful, but there are definitely areas where you can get value out of it. And given the fact that it is a smaller map, it's probably favors Falstad because he doesn't have that infinite global range like the Haka does. Let's actually take a look at Falstad's stats. I'm actually curious about how he's stacking up this division. Not bad, 67% win rate. So a decent one. Bad. And here we have Arthas being picked up. Definitely going to be looking to stall out any melee assassins that want to try to get in and give their backline the business. So we see, and Anna as well, nice long range, sustain healing. Despite the nerfs in the last patch, still an absolute powerhouse. And Zul'jin, this is probably Zul'jin's best map. And True Saint's going to be back on the Rhaegar. Zul'jin is, if he can get stacked on here, and that's kind of the scary thing about that pick, is he can get stacked. And that's and a stacked Zul'jin can be a problem, but they're really trying to avoid giving him anything to stack off of with all of that long range damage. And that's our compositions for the night, folks. This is going to be Volskaya. See if we get the equalizer coming out from Bloodbath and Beyond, or if we're going to see a 2-0 victory. The Baddest Dude's first domination, I think, in NGS since last season. I may be wrong on that statistic. I'm sure I'll be corrected in chat. But I think that's an exciting thing. If they can get the domination here, it's a big milestone for them, and I think we should all be extremely proud of a team of NGS veterans getting their, getting synergized and working together. And that, I think that's the beauty of competitive Heroes of the Storm in the first place, is just how connected a lot of these teams get, and how they feed off each other and how they become stronger throughout the seasons as they play together. If they can stick together as a unit, they're only ever going to get stronger. And it's heartwarming and encouraging to see that effect happening at every stage of the game, in the highest to the lowest divisions. But without further ado, we are starting here out on Volskaya Foundry. The Baddest Dudes looking for that said domination. Blue side, Cactus Ham on the Rainer, Rondertaker on Anubrek, Tootie Moss playing Anna, Zigo on the Arthas, and Savior 123 on the Junkrat. And on the right-hand side, looking for the equalizer in the red, we have Bloodbath and Beyond. Of course, the red side is most fitting for this team, giving their logo and name, all of that. Still get the best points for some of the, probably one of the coolest names in NGS. Diet Llama on the ETC, Skybound on the Imperious, True Saint on the Rhaegar, Crafty Trent on the Zul'jin, and Rackham plan that Elthas, which was, he's an effective boy. Gets a lot done. A little bit of skirmishing out here. We have Imperious in the top lane, getting the initial soak there. And we're going to see Zigo immediately rotate to the bot lane. Turns on this trait, takes out a few minions. It's Rhaegar that pops down to the bottom lane to match him. Imperious stepping back, making sure he doesn't get engaged on. You got to watch out for Anna Sleeps into a Nubrak dive. Now, Junkrat isn't going to be a finisher. He doesn't really have that power to be able to kill a target in the early game, or even in the late game for that matter, outside of Riptire, off of like hard engagements. But he's going to do well in sustained fights over objectives, whether that be camps or whether that be the actual objectives themselves. Junkrat really thrives in those situations and is a good pick on this map. I don't actually mind him here. He is a late game scaling hero. And like I said before, that's currently a pretty viable approach to Volskaya. As long as you have Camp Claire, and Rhaegar is doing a very good job making sure they get the first turret. He does it by himself, while we have Anna and Rainer taking care of their own, and they get them pretty much at the same time. Zul'jin putting a lot of stacks onto that Arthas, but he might have overextended. Luckily, he's got the peel slow from the Rhaegar, his buddy there hanging out. Just going to heal up behind the wall. And that's pretty much going to be it for the early game. We're just seeing some skirmishing. Slight experience advantage for the side of Bloodbath and Beyond, and that's a good start. Rackham getting out of the mid before he gets dove upon. And Anub'arak Rainer can absolutely kill the Kael'thas on a dive, so definitely not something that you want to happen. So playing safe, making sure he stays back, not giving them an easy attack. I actually agree with you, Alan Hicks. I think Arthas Imperius has been a traditionally decent matchup for Arthas anyways. Given that he's got a lot of self-sustain, the slows really hurt Imperius because he can't get out those frequent auto attacks, and he punishes the poor mobility of Imperius quite a bit. And since the changes, I haven't really been able to get a good beat on Imperius's place in the meta. People much better than I will have to explain it to me. You may be one of those people, as I'm not really an offlaner player anymore, and I stopped before Imperius was a thing, so I'd have to defer to Ulysses, my offlaner, and or any of you in the chat that have opinions like you have said so far. And I'm going to have to take you at your word and say, you're most likely correct. Arthas is much stronger since the changes. I think he also scales up, and anytime Greymane gets stronger, Arthas gets stronger. Same thing with like Illidan and things like that. We see huge engagement going down, a lot of turrets and a healing camp being dropped, but it is actually going to be Bloodbath and Beyond that come out ahead in this engagement. They drop the turret is down, and they actually get the first channel. Now they're gonna have to probably back up and get the taps. Nobody died in that engagement, so I don't feel that bad by over-explaining or going too long into that run-on sentence. But we're gonna get back to the action here now. But the Baddest dudes are doing an interesting strategy, which I myself subscribe to in a lot of situations where you're not sweating the early objective too hard until you hit level 7s. I do find that D divisions have a tendency to not, and C for that matter, have a tendency to not really hit 7s during this phase quite as frequently. They don't stall it out as hard, and they're not hard soaking in the early stage. Both teams are going to hit 7s right about the same time, but this is a reasonably good spot for Bloodbath and Beyond. If I were them, I would actually just disengage from this, but if they can kill the Anub'arak, that's actually going to be a good trade for them. But Imperius is in now, and Arthas is on him. I'm not entirely sure if he's going to get it. He does use his spear to actually get himself out, but it is Kael'thas that gets picked off, and there's actually going to be 2 deaths. So that was kind of what I was talking about. They were low and hadn't tapped, whereas the Baddest dudes had. Had Bloodbath and Beyond just said, hey, we got 99%. We can just go tap, heal up, come back in hard, maybe grab this camp. They might have been able to just kind of re-engage off that. So Baddest dude showing that they understand the map and are doing a pretty good job of macroing it. They were patient. They went out. They got their 7s. They got that extra soak. They came back in hard. And they used the fact that they had all of their abilities up and good health to make the engagement. But we do have short death timers. So we do have Bloodbath hanging out, getting the initial engagement onto Anub'arak. Anub'arak actually counter diving onto the backline, and it is actually Diet Llama that drops below 200 health. Zigo eating a lot of damage from Crafty Trent, but Skybound also needs to back out. The front line super bruised for Bloodbath and Beyond, and I think that will actually secure the initial objective for the Baddest dudes. So we're going to see them get the initial advantage here, using that first protector to get a little bit of poke on the front wall, but they're not sticking around. They're just going to pop up here to the top lane and deal with the top lane. Just clear out the wave a bit, grab that well, and that's all they really care about here. You know, I think anyone in the know understands the respect level that you should have for the protector. Get what you can out of it. Don't overcommit to anything. Don't allow your backline to get engaged upon. We're going to see ETC go for the power slide onto Zigo. He is very low. But Crafty Trent and Rackham have still been just taking an absolute ton of damage from the Junkrat and Rainer. It's been a lot of pressure. Junkrat, Rainer is a pretty good combination when you're looking for good long-range poke. Their kill pressure is limited, but not non-existent. So like, if really well coordinated, especially once they hit 10s with Raider and with well, it might not even be Raider. There might go Hyperion, which is still a completely viable comp or heroic. But Riptire, I sure hope we don't see the other kind, and that's what we're gonna get. We are gonna get Riptire and Raider, so that they will be able to kill targets. There goes Riptire onto the point. They're really trying to sell this out. We got a nice cocoon onto that mosh pit. What a good interrupt. And they grab the camp and steal it and nope out with the kill. Savior 1, 2, 3 though, almost dying to that long range guillotine. That ability has such a long range. And it's on a 40-second cooldown, so you can just kind of chuck it out. I know a lot of people like to wait. We do have Headhunter. I'm always nervous about this in competitive matches. Something that might be worth looking at in a replay VOD there for Bloodbath and Beyond to kind of balance which is the better talent, it's Bone Slicer or Headhunter. If they can get the kills, Headhunter, definitely good, but it's definitely a talent that has no value until you start getting kills on the map. And given the fact that there's 3-0 kills in favor of the Baddest Dudes, they're really going to need to get onto that. But it is Cactus Ham getting caught out. A lot of that pressure coming in. They might be able to actually get the kill. The guillotine comes over the wall, but it doesn't land on Cactus Ham. What I was saying about Zul'jin before, you don't have to have necessarily low health if you're just kind of hucking it out. But I definitely would try to combine it with his level, with his number 1 key. And at least try to, use your D, drop to about 25%, 75% health, hit your 1, then chuck it. If you do that, that is definitely going to do a way more damage onto those backline targets, and you're probably going to pick up kills off of that. So Skybound is pushing into Anubarak. Chunimas goes for the sleep. The dive comes out from Undertaker to see if he can get onto Imperius, but Undertaker Skybound does a pretty good job of just dodging all of the skill shots casually. We do have a bit, this is what I'm liking about the Baddest Dudes on this map. They're showing that they really do understand the macro. They're not missing any soak. They're trying to hit those talent tier differences and use that as their major form of advantage. And they're doing a very good job of it. So we have 1 healing camp to 1 turret camp. We have the engagement coming in from Bloodbath and Beyond, but we do have 13s now gathered by the Baddest Dudes. Riptire coming out, going to get quite a bit of poke damage onto True Saint, but he's going to heal it up. But it is Skybound that's actually looking worse for wear. And in the meantime, we're going to see the Baddest Dudes just heal up, drop the healing camp, try to sustain through this, but Undertaker is actually taking a ton of damage. He's going to go down to the Zul'jin. True Saint tries to self-ancestral and manages to not get it off. I think Anna basically putting all the pressure they needed to in that situation. Now it's just cleanup time. Rainer, Junkrat damage, just too much to deal with without a healer. If that ancestral gets off there in that situation, things look a bit different. And if that guillotine lands on Junkrat at less than 25% health, that's a dead Junkrat. He's not going to live through that, so... Junkrat seeing that axe blade fall from the sky and going, whew, that's a scary one. But we do have 1 saving grace, although it's looking bad for Crafty Trent. Unfortunately, he was stepping up, trying to get that poke damage in, and he does get picked off, but Zigo is also extended. But he doesn't have Army of the Dead, so he has to use his Q and just walk out. He can't stay on that front line, as it's going to be risky. We do see the cocoon coming into Imperius, stall out any further engagement potential from the side of Bloodbath and Beyond. And I think this is going to be another protector going to the side of the Baddest Dudes. They need to get out of dodge here. Protector's picked up. They're still down 1 member. The amount of pressure being applied. Skybound definitely doing his best to get out. And that push might actually save him more than... then kill him in that situation. That's the thing about that glove. What used to be a root and would secure a kill in that situation now actually pushes them back and more often than not saves them from death. Skybound's still pretty low. The healing throughput for Rhaegar just isn't high enough in this situation. And but Ancestral is up, so he does have that safe tool. I almost would have liked it seen it come out maybe on Imperius or ETC, but they're not at risk at losing the keep, so you might as well just save it for a rainy day. You're gonna see the mid rotation coming from the Baddest dudes. They are going to manage to drop this, and it's a good thing that they have two frontliners in there who can just kind of walk away. If those were squishies, that could have been a pretty scary situation. I'm going to pop up some things here, and we do see this fight still continuing. I think Bloodbath and Beyond getting a bit desperate as 16s are almost in reach of the Baddest dudes, and they're still a level and a half away. Definitely going to need to split. ETC looking to see if he can scout out any rotations. They do spot them on this camp, but 16s are just about up, so it's a scary proposition. I thought that Bloodbath and Beyond would have been on this camp, but instead it looked like they were maybe considering going for an invade. But since it's level 16s and 14, Imperius, though, oblivious to this rotation, but lucky for him, they're going for the heal camp. He's going to walk through here anyways, and in fact, both of them are going to walk into what I would consider almost a death trap. 16 to 15 is not a fight you want, boys. Definitely want to be getting out of there as soon as possible. Jeez, my camera work sucks. Okay. Cat's playing with my cords. Not making this easy. Grab it. And now we're seeing a 5-man rotation coming out from Bloodbath and Beyond. I think they're just trying to feel a bit more safe. They are about to hit 16. And then I think they're going to be looking for that fight that they've been so desperately trying to avoid. Aside, of course, from this almost engagement here. Midfort does go down. The trickle experience will finally show up eventually. It will take a lot of time during a cast for me to explain every single talent. I try to highlight the ones that are noticeable or notable. You know, things that are typically outside of the standard builds. If you're looking for more information, you can go to Heroes Hearth. You can ask in NGS Discord, or you can play Heroes of the Storm yourself and kind of discover a bit of the magic for yourself. If you can maybe list who your buddy is, I will tell you what his talents do. But going down the list is going to take way too much time, and there's still a lot of action happening on the map. So, 16 to 18 fight. So a 2-level disparity difference between Baddest dudes and Bloodbath Beyond. But there is no talent disparity. Both are on 16s. And Anub'arak actually getting caught out. He's going to go down. The healing camp is going to go to the side of Bloodbath and Beyond, and that is the engagement that they've been looking for all day, folks. And only 24% actually channeled by the Baddest dudes is actually a pretty bad situation for them, because 44 seconds, 36 seconds now on the death timers for Anub'arak means the chances of them to be able to get a re-engagement here are pretty low. They do have 2 turrets, and they are going to see Zul'jin split. I would actually like to see Imperius go up there, even though it is a slower clear. As Zul'jin is one of the major kill pressures here. Very good mosh pit, though, keeps the Riptire from actually landing on everyone. But Anna does keep Arthas alive for a short period of time, but a wonderful slide from ETC ends up killing him. And now Cactus Ham has got to get the heck out of Dodge, because he's about to go down here. Even with the heals from Anna, it's not enough. And a consecutive team fight victory for Bloodbath and Beyond. And that is absolutely, with that kill on Anna, going to set them up to put some good siege damage into this bot lane. They might even actually be able to step up and take keep. Top lane's a bit of a problem with the catapult in the lane. This could still push up into the keep. So I'm still wondering if you might still want to split someone back to deal with it. We see Kael'thas just kind of dealing with the top pressure. So they do take the bot fort. They're just playing for the late game team fights. You know what? Going for the experience, leave in and out, especially if you just don't think you can quite push down to keep safely, is a perfectly viable strategy. And this sets them up very well for the next protector phase. The protector takes 2 people to operate. They both get 3 abilities each to push through on the lanes. Oh no, I think Crafty Trent, though, is in a bit of a bind here. Cocoon going on to Kael'thas, so he can't peel anyone out with the stun. And yeah, this is kind of the downside to the Protector in some cases. And True Saint is probably going to get dove as well. Level 20s are in place. Rewind is one of those talents, which means he's not going to be able to disengage from this easily. And that's going to be a 3-for-nothing. And this is actually going to be a bad spot for Bloodbath and Beyond. So where they were actually looking pretty strong, things have kind of turned a bit. Those 3 kills with very long death timers are going to actually force down this mid keep. They might even lose top keep. And if the Baddest dudes are feeling particularly ambitious, they could go for core here. And it might actually be what they're looking to do. Now they do have Mosh Pit, which can stall this out a little bit longer. But they are going to go right for the core. And I can't say this is necessarily a bad choice. I think that this is probably the right move. But Zul'jin is about up. And actually, no, things are actually turning badly. They aren't able to put enough damage onto the core. They do get the shields down. And Skybound might actually go down here, and he does. But Zul'jin is back up in a 3-man mosh pit, though a wonderful Cocoon. Actually, wow, that was very well played by the Nubrak. That Cocoon saved his team. Mosh pit was well placed. Counter dive coming out onto Rackham, but 3 are back up, but they did lose 2 on that defense. But they were trying to keep the core alive, so I don't necessarily blame them. Top lane is getting pushed in, so they're probably going to lose that top keep. And things are definitely looking dire for the side of Bloodbath and Beyond. Zul'jin is totally viable in this comp. Zul'jin is a good hero. He takes a while to stack up. And we still haven't quite got that quest reward here. Same thing with the Headhunter. So I think, unfortunately, Zul'jin hasn't been able to get enough out of his trait and level 1 talent in this matchup. But that doesn't necessarily mean he's bad. And on this map in particular, there's lots of places for him to get good, long, sustained fights to get his stacks up, and then he just becomes a monster. So I do think he's viable. I wonder if the Rhaegar is the one struggling the most here to be able to keep things alive into the Junkrat Rainer damage. And we're going to see a bunch of engagement coming into this camp. This camp is basically free. Until all members are back up, it's really super risky to be even standing here. But another saving grace is the top fort did not go down. We got a really good guillotine plus power slide onto Zigo. That Cocoon came out, but it was burned down really fast, and this fight is actually going very much in favor of Bloodbath and Beyond, but there's the Riptire. Level 20 upgrade, does more damage and gets resets. And that's actually probably going to be the death push. So much. They are split. They split very well there. That was actually a really good disengage by Bloodbath and Beyond. By splitting their forces, they didn't give a clear target. The Baddest dudes made a mistake by not picking one. They didn't go after anyone in particular. And here's the thing, they're gonna get this channel in on this, but it's 30 seconds on the cap. If they come in and stall out even a little bit, give Imperious time to get back into this, they don't necessarily lose this objective. In fact, he'll be up, I think, with definitely enough time to be able to get onto the stall this out and maybe get a good team fight. Cocoon's going to be back up, but Mosh Pit is available. Angelic Armaments is available now, and we still have 30 seconds on Ancestral, and that's probably the one downside to this team fight. And I'm just holding my breath here to see what happens. This is potentially the last fight of the match. If anyone significantly loses this matchup and the Protector goes to one team or the other, this game's over. We see a huge mosh pit go on to 3. Skybound, though, is unable to get this angelic armaments to save him. The shield gets burned down too fast. Ancestral healing does not pop off. And it was just too much damage. The Riptire and endless nades was just too much pressure for Bloodbath and Beyond to deal with. And in the end, it kind of what calls it. The cooldown reduction on this is really nasty when you're hitting 4 or 5 heroes. Like, it basically comes right off cooldown almost immediately. Junkrat just doing a lot of work. And you can actually see it in the statistics here as well. Zul'jin's going to do his best to burn this down, but 2 heroes alive. It does get a lot of damage onto Junkrat. Makes him a bit nervous, but there's really nothing that can happen here. It's going to be GG. Well played. Baddest Dudes take their first domination of the season and of their NGS careers. Congratulations, guys. I'm going to keep saying that until someone corrects me. I'm pretty sure they've never had a domination. I think that's actually a thing. But if I'm wrong, please let me know. Not that I always look like an idiot, so it's not going to change anything. But it's a good game. That was close. Much closer than game number 1. And I liked both. While both of my matches tonight were 2-0s, the second games were always super close and could have gone either way. So well done by Bloodbath and Beyond. Baddest Dudes seem to be back with good vigor. And, you know, it's a tough matchup. They did well, though. There's your talents, too, as well. I'll leave them up for you while I sort out the interview stuff. And then hopefully we get the interview. I still haven't got a confirmation yet, so don't get too excited yet. There we go. Good to go. Alrighty, folks, looks like we're going to be getting our interview. Just waiting for Cactus Ham and or 2D Mouse or both, whoever wants to show up. Pop their head in and see how it goes from there. Waiting, waiting, waiting. I am just here waiting. There you are. How's it going?
Hey, good. How are you doing?
Well done. 2-0 domination. You guys are starting off the series strong. You guys got 2 wins, or you won your first match of the season against...
Last week we were against Camino Saber Darts.
Right. And yeah, and that was a 2-1.
Yup, they took Sky Temple on us. The nasty Malthael. And Bloodbath and Beyond knew that we can't stand Malthael.
So, am I correct in saying that this is your guys' first domination in NGS as a team?
Actually, the very first game we played in NGS, we had a domination. And it was our only win last season, and it was a domination. We started really hot.
Okay, well, whatever. It's still hype. First domination of the season. You guys start off the season strong with 2 victories, which is already better than last season.
Yeah, we're pretty pumped about it.
Fantastic, right? You got to be hyped. We're on the hype train. So
our lobby is going crazy right now. We're pretty excited.
I bet. I'm excited for you guys. Like I said, all of you guys have been kind of floating around NGS for several seasons now on various different teams. And, in this rendition, starting off the season nice and strong is a good start. And I think you guys, I was expecting you guys to take off last season, but as happens a lot of the times with all new teams, it takes time to really get your synergies down, figure out each other, figure out what drafts or maps you favor, that kind of thing like that. And then with kind of the shift up in who your opponents are this season, I think you guys have a pretty good road forward. How do you feel about that?
We're feeling really good right now. We're feeling great. 2 wins is the way to go. We knew that after the first NGS season that we were absolutely coming back. We just needed, like you said, to spend some more time together, tighten some things up, and we went and we played a season in Heroes Lounge and learned a lot there, and felt really good coming into the beginning of the season. And I speak for us all when I say that I'm thrilled to see that our hard work is paying off right now with a 2-win start to the season.
Yeah, absolutely. It's showing. So game number 1 was their map pick, Cursed Hollow. Were you surprised at all with that draft? I mean, were you expecting an Abathur? Did the Stitches throw you off? Tell me a bit about that game draft-wise and how it played out.
Well, we were 100% expecting Abathur because we were going to pick him.
There you go. Of course you were. Anyways, continue.
So when they took Abathur, we were like, oh, okay, they're going to do it instead. All right, well then, time to pivot. They did a pretty good job sort of trying to target ban Savior, who usually plays our mages for us. So he ended up on Asthma, which he hasn't played a lot of before, but he did a great job. And we just sort of fell back into our usual Cursed Hollow plan. Rhaegar so strong on that map. They went a little wild at the beginning with that hard push top, and I was like, okay, these guys have something up their sleeve, but we were able to get it under control, get our timing in place, and calm down and play the map, and then we did a good job.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, obviously the Asmodan and Sylvanas were significant enough threats to warrant bans in the next phase. So going into map 2, both of those heroes were actually the top choices to remove, giving you guys a little bit more freedom in there. But I think you did well in kind of changing gears into that Junkrat Rainer. That much sustained damage, especially as it scales into late game, does a really good job. So tell us a little bit about Volskaya, which is your map choice. That draft in a little bit. Is it something you practice much or just kind of picked up on the fly here? And kind of overall matchup. It was a much closer game for sure, number 2.
Yeah, definitely. They brought the heat game number 2. They kept us thinking about everything that we had to do. Really good fight on point 3 where they grabbed Anubarak a little early. It dropped him, and we didn't really have much of a choice except for to back off. We tried to re-engage once we saw the Zul'jin go top, since we still had Arthas down there, but weren't able to get all the kills, and they ended up cleaning up on us. But those Junkrat resets at the end, those
I lost you there. Did you drop a mic?
You still there?
Yeah, I lost you there for a second.
Oh, sorry. Where'd I what was I talking about?
We were talking about the Junkrat rip tires, which I agree. I actually called it out that the resets on that can be super punishing, especially on a map like that where it's really hard to kind of avoid the radius, and definitely put so much pressure on them that getting the end team fight there was nigh impossible. Although I was saying that the Junkrat was probably clenching his butt cheeks a bit with all of those guillotines coming in from the sky on him.
He was. Oh yeah, he had some near-death experiences, and we were all well aware.
Yeah.
But He only got tagged. I think he only died like one time. So
Yeah. It was a solid match from you guys. Like I said, a little bit of hiccups, but they were bringing the heat, trying to, desperately trying to get that equalizer. And it rolled into 20s, and level 20 Junkrat is just a monster to deal with. And I think is overall kind of what clinched out the rest of the victory there.
Yeah, after that push, they went bot. Then they wrote, instead of trying to take the keep bot, they decided to go mid. And just stayed too long, and we just were able to catch them before they were able to group back up as 5 and get some Junkrat resets, and then that keep of ours we felt really good about, and then we were like, okay, all we have to do is just play safe. We have 20 now. Just let them. They don't get another team fight. We'll just blow them up.
Well, you did a fantastic job of it. So going forward, who do you got your eye on in the rest of the division?
Oh man. Well, let's see. Next week we're playing the team with the longest name in the.
Yavapai.
Yeah, whatever it is. Yava County something.
Yavapai County Youth Chess and Swim Team.
That is a mouthful.
Yep.
So, I mean, we look one game ahead. That's our next opponent. That's who we're getting ready for. That's who I care about right now.
Alrighty then. Before we go, have any shout outs for everyone out there in the chat and beyond?
Shout out to the Baddest Dudes, my boys that just won us a beautiful 2 games. Savior, Ronder, Tootie, Zego. Thanks to our practice squad guys, Hacktrick, the Dude, and Cali Killa, our coaches. Thanks for casting it. Thanks to the NGS staff for continuing to put on an excellent league that we have so much fun playing.
No problem, dude. My pleasure. It was a great series. Both matches tonight I enjoyed the hell out of. So, thanks for showing up today. I appreciate you coming in here and having this interview, this victory lap, and I look forward to seeing more from you guys in the future weeks.
Awesome, dude. Well, hey, you know where we'll be. Cast us.
Gotcha. Have a good night, dude.
All right, thanks.
Alrighty, folks, that is going to be it for me tonight. I might do some late night streaming of my own. We'll see kind of how it pans out, but I am going to be closing the stream here shortly. Thank you for everyone that showed up in the chat tonight. I totally appreciate it. If you haven't hit the follow button, please do. I'll be casting all season, so definitely you'll be able to quickly get to my channel whenever the next one's coming up. The more of that supporting my channel, I totally appreciate it. If you're feeling extra generous, subs and biddies definitely go a long way to help support the stream and me and my family here, and it's very much appreciated. I love NGS. I love everybody that comes in here and makes this such a fun time. It's just a great experience across the board for me, and I just enjoy the hell out of it. So thank you so much. And if you didn't catch it or you want to show your friends, the VODs will be on this channel. They'll also be on my YouTube channel, or they'll be connected to the Nexus Gaming Series YouTube channel, where you can go to see all of the matches up to this point that have been casted, which is every game in that are loaded on there actually in VODs, so that you can watch in playlists. So if you haven't caught up already, this is a great community, great thing to really get into. And yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you guys for the rest of the night. Thank you so much, and you guys have a great evening.